I have some PewDiePie level YouTube shit to talk to you about. Okay, so this is going to be really, really interesting what I'm going for here. And I'm doing a dramatic reenaction of what I just went through, so bear with me here. Okay, do you see this? Hold on, of course it's blurry. Hurry up. Glucose. Okay, carbons, right? We got a bunch of carbons. What are we? We are carbon-based life forms as human beings. If you're a human being, nod your head yes. I'm nodding my head yes. Okay, carbon-based life forms. Glucose, mannose, these are carbohydrates. Like they occur in plants. Deoxyribose, what are we? Deoxyribonucleic acid, okay? Stuff like that, okay? So anyway, carbohydrates, right? You're following me? Carbon. We use carbon to do things for some reason. It's a fuel source to us in certain forms, interestingly enough, with certain context. Let's leave it at that for now. Okay, now I was thinking, because I'm doing home brews. Shouts out to Delta Brewing, because they actually are providing some really good basic foodstuffs for brewing. They also will be very nice and often include a yeast packet for free if you don't order one. I actually had to ask them to stop doing it because I'm not brewing alcoholically. In the sense, see, this is where it gets complicated. When I say I'm not brewing alcoholically, what I mean is I'm not intentionally adding yeast to cause the fermentation of the product, which is what causes what we colloquially think as the alcoholic content. Now, that being said, I also have a ketamine prescription, okay? Ketonic amine, there's a lot of obscurity around the concept. Anyway, hopefully that will clear. Anyway, I'm walking around. I just put a frozen pizza in the, in the oven. And I start thinking to myself, I'm talking to myself about something, and I remembered, I haven't been drunk in you know what I mean? Like, as a younger person, I used to get drunk. It's 2025. The time where I would have a reference point for being drunk like I'm thinking of would be like 2018. Like, reasonably buzzed, definitely got a drunk thing going on. However, I'm not drunk. But the conversation I was having with myself reminded me of being drunk. Because I was like, wait, that's some like formulaic like material that's going on in my brain. And that used to happen when I would drink alcoholic beverages. And I was like, but no, all I had was my home brew, which I didn't, once again, I didn't put any, it's like a iced tea. It's like making an iced tea out of, instead of using tea leaves, you use grains and hops, okay? So it wasn't that in and of itself. And I thought to myself, ketamine, okay, yeah, that would contribute, would it not? And then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, ooh, alcohol. What is alcohol's relationship to ketamine? Like, I'm just curious. My understanding is that a very finely refined alcohol is like a sugar. And it makes it, and it's like easy. The thing is, like, I'm like, isn't it the grain breaking down in a way where you can use the carbohydrate more efficiently? Like a really good one, like a really good alcohol. Isn't that all it is? Like just a more easily digestible nutrient. And because it's quicker to digest, our body gets all hyped up about it. Isn't literally that all it is? So I started looking at it, and I'm like, okay, so there's a glucose. Let's just use the glucose as a reference, okay? Because that's something that we can all agree is a carbohydrate and also can be recognized as a sugar, just so we have some context here. Okay, you see that? Okay, basically the important thing here is carbons. You've got carbons, not to be confused with cabrones or cabrones. I like to say pargan to make sure that everyone understands. Hey, pargan, because when you say hey cabron, sometimes they get confused and think you're just a carbon. as I'm getting to, because it's a fuel source. Anyway, so that was a complicated ass deep state meme, and I need to, after this, take a step away from the internet. But for now, glucose, carbons. The main thing here is it's a carbon chain, and it's got it's each one of these carbons. If you'll notice, actually, I just noticed this. It has a water molecule attached to it. Oh wait, is that a water? H2, yes, 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. They have water molecules attached to them. It's a carbon and a water. And then at the end, it's just, that one just has oxygen on that side. And this side, there's, OH, oxygen hydroxide. And this one has, well, it looks like the extra, what happened is, the extra hydrogen from this side is on this side. And then it ends. So that's like a polar imbalance or whatever, or something. I'm not quite sure how to describe that. Yeah, polar imbalance. One pole up here, down there. It could have been, but here's the thing. Positive and negative, they exist. And then there's a neutral. Carbon seems to be the neutral. Anyway, moving forward, the point was ethanol. Okay? Look at that. It's just a shorter version. It just has 2 carbons. And there's fewer oxygens for some reason, which means it's a charged one. Is it positive? Well, I guess that's a more complicated conversation. And that's actually the root of the issue, is the ionic charges and the variance of these molecules, not them in their hypothetical Platonian form, Euclidean and shit. Look at that motherfucker, just being Boolean as a motherfucking bitch, in theory. Okay? Still with me? So here's an interesting thing. The ketamine. Fuck you if you disagree with me. We can have a conversation about it if you want, but like, dimethyltryptamine. Okay, it's an amine, bitch. What is ketamine? Ketamine is a general classification for a ketonic amine, derived from multiple sources, okay? Moving forward, dimethyltryptamine. This chemical is, from my understanding, is responsible for life on Earth, okay? Bear with me here. Responsible for life on Earth, okay? I don't want to talk to you about the legality of this chemical right now because it triggers the fuck out of me. Responsible for life on Earth. Anyway, calming down a little bit. What does that look like to you? Well, what are these? What are those? Dude, they're fucking benzene rings. I don't know what this one is. Or but whatever, it's carbons. Carbon, pagrin. These are carbons. Excuse me for touching the screen like that. I just realized my father triggers me when he touches his screen. He usually presses into it quite a bit. Anyway, removing my hand, using the mouse again. Where's the mouse? So yeah. It's just carbons. It's just a bunch of carbons, and you know what is probably attached to them? A water molecule is probably attached to them. Just saying. And then this nitrogen. You want to know what that nitrogen is from? The fucking ground, you bitch. It's from the fucking soil. The soil was fertile. So you got some fucking carbon molecules. You like sugar, right? Do you like food in general? Do you like carbohydrates? How about like bread and stuff? So let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. It's carbon. It's a carbon chain with water. And what else? That's it sometimes. And then as we discussed, ethanol is just, an abbreviated version. It's going to this. What is this? Okay? It's just... Sorry, I'm using my hand again. Let me go back to the cursor. Sorry, I trigger myself. You know, but sometimes you got to be careful. Anyway, carbons. It's carbons. It was a long carbon chain. We had extra sugar, so it decided to wrap around, basically. And it was like, you know what? Let me get spicy and add some nitrogen up in this bitch, because you probably need some of this shit too. Anything else? What is that? Me2. Well, you know, different things are saying different things. Because, like, they'll call it that. And see, it looks a little different too. And then there's this one over here. Let's see what this one says. See, look, that's all it is. They're making it complicated. It's simple. This one has 3 hydrogens on the end of each of it. The oxygens must have gotten eaten up in here somewhere. Or whatever. Anyway, point is, so what if you need to drink a little more fucking water to balance it out? Seems to me that these are just different forms of fucking nutrients. And they can have different effects on you, but it's probably situational. Most of it's probably situational, and it seems like it might be a necessary source of fuel for the human body. I'm just saying. This is some deep state Illuminati bullshit, but it's, you know, I'm onto something, and if you disagree with me, I suggest you try not using any carbon molecules in your body. Or water molecules, for that matter. Try living without carbon and water. It's food and water. And that's essentially all the dimethyltryptamine was too, except it seemed to have a couple nitrogens because it was grown in fertile soil. You know, be careful with them nitrogens and all. But if I'm not mistaken, a large portion of our atmosphere is made of nitrogen, and actually it's probably largely responsible for us surviving in this atmosphere. It's probably a big part of what we're breathing. I wonder why. Now, we can have a whole different conversation about all that another time. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I think that sometimes making things inherently illegal is stupid. Especially when you have a double standard in society about who is and isn't allowed to handle it, or use it, or transport it, or accept funds for it. I think we may have a fucking problem with our legal system. Just from a logical standpoint, just from like a continuity, basic, life-sustaining perspective. Like, for life on Earth, is what I'm saying. For all human life on Earth. I'm just putting this in perspective. Because you can't hide behind a system that you just think won't fail. You think it won't catch you up in the same ass fucking lies. Oh, well, I'm a cop, so I can handle this dimethyltryptamine without getting in trouble. But it's you. You're the one who's in trouble because I want it.